Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Vendread deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck just got an amazing new starter, Dark Necromancer. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Dark Necromancer. This card is the best normal summon in the entire deck now, because this card is an insane effect. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can actually send a fiend or zombie ritual monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then you can add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, basically setting up all of your plays to help you ritual summon out your Vendread monsters, from getting you one of your cards to ritual summon to being able to get your Vendread ritual monster into the graveyard so you can ritual summon it back. This card also has the effect that if this card is banished, you can actually target one of your banished level 4 or lower fiend or zombie monsters and special summon it, but you only use each effect of this card once per turn. But this card is amazing. The deck can even bring itself back to your side of the field if it does get banished, which is amazing. We then play 3 copies of Vendread Slayer. Vendread Slayer is an amazing boss monster in this deck, as this card has the ability that once per battle, if this card battles an opponent's monster, during damage calculation, quick effect, you can actually banish a zombie monster from the graveyard, and this card gains 300 attack points, which is a really cool effect, especially now with Dark Necromancer. This card also has the ability, if this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, and if you do, send a Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard, setting up your graveyard and also getting you a ritual spell, which is awesome. We then play a single copy of Battlelord. Battlelord is really good in the deck as a 1-0 to basically just turn your opponent's field off, because you can actually banish a Vendread card from your graveyard and declare a type monster, spell, or trap, and for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effect of that type, which is an insane effect. We play a single copy of Scavenger. Scavenger is really good as a 1-of in the build, just to help you go in for game. So this card has the effect that, quick effect, you can actually tribute a zombie monster other than this card, and this card gains attack equal to the tributed monster's original attack points, which is an insane effect to make this card absolutely massive and go in for game. This card also has the ability, if you control a copy of Slayer and this card's in your graveyard, you can actually special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field, which is an awesome ability just to instantly get this card out on your side of the field to go in for game. We then play 2 copies of Scar of the Vendread. Scar is amazing in the deck as a 2-of, because this card helps you out so much in the deck with your copy of Ravenous Vendread. This card also has the ability, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually add a Vendread spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is an awesome ability to instantly grab the exact card you need to go in for your plays. We play a single copy of Revenant. Revenant is really good as a 1-of in the build, because this card actually can bring itself back from the graveyard to your side of the field. As if this card in your possession is destroyed by an opponent's card by battle or by card effect and sent to the grave, you can actually special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field. And also a Vendread monster ritual summon using this card on the field gains the effect that once per turn, quick effect, you can actually target a special summon monster your opponent controls and banish it, which is a great effect just to help you deal with cards on the field. We then play a single copy of Hound Horde. Hound Horde is awesome in the build as a 1-of, and this card has the ability, if this card is in your graveyard, you can discard a Vendread card to special summon this card, but banish when it leaves the field. And also a Vendread monster is ritual summon using this card on the field gains the effect that once per turn, quick effect, you can actually target a spell or trap that your opponent controls and banish it, which is an awesome effect just to help you deal with back row. And then play a single copy of Striggs. Striggs is awesome in this deck, but you only need a single copy of this card. As if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can reveal a Vendread card in your hand and then special summon this card, but banish when it leaves the field. And this card also gives a Vendread monster a bonus effect if you use this card to ritual summon using this card. Then after the damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you get to draw a card and then discard a card, which is a really cool effect. We then also play a single copy of Core. Core is really good as a 1-of in the build, and this card has the ability, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one other zombie monster from the grave, and then special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a great ability, especially to work with your copy of Dark Necromancer. And also, a Vendread monster ritual summon using this card on the field gains the following effect, that your opponent cannot target this card with card effects, which is a really cool effect. We play a single copy of Awalt Mazra. Awalt Mazra is amazing in this deck as a 1-of, as if a zombie monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can actually banish this card from your hand or grave instead, and if this card is banished from the hand or grave, you can special summon this card in defense position, then you can reduce its level by 1, which is an awesome effect to be able to protect your monsters while also getting this card out on your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Doom King Baller Drop. Doom King is great in this deck as a 1-of because it's so easy to get to in this build, especially with the new field spell Delta of Invitation, which actually just instantly gets this card out on your side of the field by sending it to the graveyard and then using your copy of Doom King's effect that during the standby phase, if there's a card in the field zone and this card's in the grave, you can special summon this card in defense position to your side of the field. This card is also a negate and a banish, which is absolutely insane for this card to be able to do. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the build to basically just stop the opponent from touching the deck. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Vendread Charge. Vendread Charge is really good as a 1-of in the build, as this card actually lets you send a zombie monster from your hand or face it from the field to the graveyard to special summon a Vendread monster from the deck, instantly getting you a monster out on your side of the field. We play a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is great in this deck as a 1-of, because we actually play multiple field spells we want to search in this deck, so this card is really good as a 1-of in the build. We play a single copy of Set Rotation. Again, we do play multiple field spells in this deck, so this card comes in extremely handy to help us get to the exact field spell that we need. We play a single copy of Vendread Knights. Vendread Knights is amazing in this deck as a 1-of, because you can actually discard a card to add a Vendread monster from your deck to your hand. And you can only use this effect once per turn. And when your Vendread monster destroys an opponent's monster at battle, you can actually banish a Vendread monster from your graveyard and you can attack an opponent's monster again in a row, which is a great effect to help you just go in for game. We play a single copy of Zombie World. You only need a single copy of this card because you basically play your copies of Terraforming and Set Rotation that can get to this card. And also this card is hilarious to basically just hand your opponent off of Set Rotation, so you can play around cards like Imperm and Evenly Match, which is absolutely insane. But also this card basically turns everything on the field and in both players' graveyards into zombies. We then play 2 copies of Delta of Invitation. This card is really good as a 2-of in the build, because this card is actually a Foolish Burial. Then when this card is activated, you actually get to send a level 5 or higher zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, which can be your copy of Doom King Baller Drop, which is amazing to be able to do, so you can bring it back to your side of the field later and use its effect to be able to banish and negate cards. This card also is insane because it generates you a token, because if a zombie monster is on the field, you can actually special summon a Delta token to your side of the field that's a Zombie Dark, level 5, 0 attack, and 0 defense. And if a monster is added from the graveyard to the hand while this card is in the graveyard, you can actually add this card from your graveyard back to your hand, which is a really cool ability, and you can only activate one of this card per turn. But it's great in the deck as a 2-of to be able to use, so we can get our copy of Doom King in the graveyard, and even use it with our copy of Awalt Mazra. We then play 2 copies of Ravenous Vendread. Ravenous Vendread is an insane ritual spell in this deck. This card lets you special summon a Vendread monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard in face down defense position, except another copy of this card, which is usually going to be your copy of Scar of the Vendread. Then you ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster from your hand or graveyard by tributing monsters that you control, including the monster special summoned by this card's effect, whose total level equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster, which is a great effect to be able to use to instantly bring out your ritual monster to your side of the field using your copy of Scar, so you get an additional search of a spell or trap of your Vendread cards. We then played 2 copies of Vendread Reorigin. Reorigin is really good as a 2-of in the build, as this card is just absolutely insane, because this card can be used to ritual summon any Vendread ritual monster from your hand or your graveyard, which is so cool about Vendread Origin. This card helps you out so much in the deck to instantly bring out your cards, because you must also tribute monsters from your hand, field, and or banish zombie monsters from your graveyard, which again works with your copy of Dark Necromancer to banish it from the graveyard. So you basically just use this effect to bring itself back to your side of the field. We then played 3 copies of Vendread Evolution. Vendread Evolution is great in the deck as a 3-of, because this card can be used to ritual summon any of your Vendread ritual monsters from your hand or your graveyard, but you must also tribute monsters from your hand, field, and or send a Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard, whose total level equal or exceed the ritual monster you're trying to ritual summon, and also the ritual monster is destroyed during the end phase of the next turn, which is the only downside to this card. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. Super Poly is insane in this deck to help you break your opponent's board, especially alongside your copy of Zombie World, which is so cool to be able to activate to basically just go in for your copy of Nether Soul Dragon. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Vendread Reorigin. Vendread Reorigin is a great trap card in this deck. It actually targets a face-up monster that your opponent controls that has a level, and you tribute it. And if you do, you get to special summon a Vendread token to your side of the field. As a Zombie Dark, 0 attack and 0 defense, with a level equal to the tributed monster's original level. And also, while that token is special summoned by this effect is on the field, you cannot normal summon or special summon except for Vendread monsters, but it's very easy to get off your side of the field, because you can basically just link it away for your copy of Savior, or even go in for a basically ritual player. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of build to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Vendread Savior. Vendread Savior is an amazing 2-of build. It just requires 2 zombie monsters to make this card, and this card's name becomes Slayer while it's on your side of the field, which is a really cool effect to work with your copy of Scavenger. This card also has 2 really cool effects, as you can actually target a Vendread monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, and during the damage calculation, if this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can actually send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and that opponent's monster loses attack equal to the level of that monster sent to the grave times 2 turn points until the end of the turn, helping you go in for game. We have a single copy of Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess is great just to help you out towers like boss monsters. 1 copy of Access Code. Access Code's awesome in this deck to help you pop multiple cards on the field, and it comes out absolutely massive. And a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff. 1 copy of Dynamundo. Dynamundo is really good because we are playing a ritual deck, so this card comes in extremely handy in the build. 1 copy of Vampire Sucker. Vampire Sucker is great just in case you need to basically draw a card, and it helps out a lot in this build. A single copy of SP. SP is awesome in this deck as a 1-of to basically just use this card as a double interruption. A single copy of IP. IP is awesome in the deck as a 1-of as well to help you go in for your copy of SP, Unicorn, or Underworld Goddess during the opponent's turn. A single copy of Flying Mary. Flying Mary is great in this build as a 1-of, especially since we play level 5 or higher zombies, because this card can actually bring one back to your side of the field. You should actually target a level 5 or higher zombie monster that's banished or in the graveyard. Place this card in your spell and trap card zone as a face-up continuous spell, and if you do special summon that monster to your side of the field, and while this card is a continuous spell, you can actually target a level 5 or higher zombie monster that you control and destroy monster opponent controls with attack less than or equal to that monster's, which is a really cool effect. A single copy of Nether Soul Dragon. Nether Soul Dragon is a great super poly target and just a great card to be able to play in this build to basically just use as a super poly target when you have your copy of Zombie World on the field. With my single copy of Garua and a single copy of Mud Dragon, these cards are just awesome options in the deck that you can easily make in this build with super poly. With my single copy of Chaos Angel, Chaos Angel is great as a 1 in the build because it's very easy to go into, as your copy of Slayer is level 6, and then any of your level 4 monsters in the deck like your copy of Dark Necromancer, can actually step into this card, which is really cool to be able to do. Let me a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is great in this deck as a one to basically just use this card as a bounce and a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack point monsters. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is amazing to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Vendread deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's so fun to be able to play, and it's insane, especially now that we have an amazing normal summon like Dark Necromancer. This card is so good in the deck. So that's gonna be this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, comment part notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.